TODs are so much better. I had a trust, and if you want to change anything, back to the attorneys. Interesting, not always true though. So I can give you a few scenarios where TODs, transfer on death designations, are definitely not better than having a trust. So scenario one, which I see often, sure, it seems simple enough that if something happens to one of your beneficiaries or you change your mind, all you have to do is change who you listed as the TOD or transfer on death recipient. Sometimes, however, for some people, that is easier said than done, meaning it's still additional steps, still paperwork that you have to fill out. It can easily get forgotten, especially if you have lots of accounts, all of them with TODs or different TODs. It can become very confusing and you can sometimes forget who you listed. If someone's listed, things can definitely fall through the cracks. So that's issue number one. Issue number two, in the ideal situation, your TOD outlives you. If they do not, then the asset needs to go through probate. So you didn't prevent a probate in that scenario. Issue three, what happens if your TOD becomes disabled at any point in their life and needs to be put on some type of government benefits, needs government assistance? If they are to inherit something directly and not through a supplemental needs trust, then they lose their benefits. So there's an issue with that as well, meaning you could have just destroyed lifelong benefits, which doesn't happen if you have a trust that has a supplemental needs trust portion where those specific assets can go for the recipient or for the beneficiary. Okay, and then finally, the last thing that we do see is people will often want to list minors as beneficiaries, whether it's minor children or grandchildren. Again, you list a minor as the TOD. Minors cannot inherit directly. So you're adding more problems here. If you don't have a trust, there's no place for that money to go until the minor is old enough to use it. If you have a trust, the trustee, the manager of the trust, can start actually paying for things on the minor's behalf or using the money for the minor immediately. So it frees the money up for them immediately. So there's a few instances of why sometimes this isn't actually the best scenario to just change TODs rather than getting a trust. I understand for certain people, it might be better depending on how many accounts you have and who your beneficiaries actually are, but it's very, very important to weigh your specific circumstances before deciding if a TOD or a POD, payable on death designation, is a better option than a trust, because in my experience, more often than not, that isn't true. Not that it's not always true, but more often than not, it is not. Okay, so I hope this helps. If you have any other questions about the difference between TODs, PODs, trust, or any other type of estate planning, elder law, probate question, please contact our office if you're in Florida. The link is in my bio.